Alrighty, welcome back to Transcendent, Chapter 17. We left off Chapter 16, where Ari had a birthday at the Paradise Farms with Adam Lennox and his sister. And now she's got a motorbike. Chapter 17. The next day, Adam taught Ari how to ride the motocross bike. There were a few hiccups and spills at first, but she got the hang of it. Soon she was riding all over the property. They also let her ride down the gravel road to pick up the mail in the evenings, as long as she kept her helmet on so no one would see her face. As much as Ari loved Adam and Jamie, it felt good to ride by herself and feel a bit of freedom. When the 4th of July came around, Adam went into town and came back with a box full of fireworks. That night they set them off, with Jamie yelling from the back porch, "Don't go blowing your faces off, you crazies!" Adam didn't play around. He got the good stuff. And when they went through the smaller ones and got to the big guns, Adam told Ari to go up on the porch with Jamie. So Ari jogged up to the porch and leaned on the rail beside her. Adam set off one of the heavy-duty ones, and it shot into the air, exploding with multiple colorful blooms. The embers reflected in the pond, making it look like a tiny galaxy. Ari stood there in the warm night breeze, watching the fireflies blinking, hearing the crickets' nighttime song, watching the colorful explosions in the sky with the people who truly cared for her. And she felt at that moment that the world was a beautiful place. But like most things did in Ari's life, the peace and happiness she had found at Paradise Glades came to an end. One evening in early August, Ari went down the gravel road to get the mail. She parked at the tree line and walked over to the mailbox, keeping her helmet on in case someone drove by. Reaching in, she pulled out a handful of envelopes. Most were just bills, but there was one that stood out. It was cream-colored, square, and it felt like thick, high-quality paper. But instead of having an address on the front, there was only the initials, A.R. It couldn't be for Adam. His initials were A.L. Then she remembered that the name on her passport was Ariana Reyes. This letter was for her. It had to be from Cass. She was the only person who knew that name. The pictogram of an eye that she saw when she flipped the envelope over confirmed her suspicion. But how did this get here? There wasn't any address or postmark, so that meant someone had to have dropped it off personally. Man, Cass had friends everywhere. Ari walked back down the gravel road a bit, away from the main road and into the woods. She lifted up the visor of her helmet and opened up the envelope. It was a single folded piece of paper that read, "You must leave now. They are coming." The last line made a chill run down her spine as her skin prickled with goosebumps. Swiftly turning around, she stuffed the letter back into the envelope, lowered her visor, and ran back to her bike. She shoved the mail into her pocket and hopped onto the bike. Speeding down the road, her heart hammering in her chest, she forced herself to calm down and focus. Keeping Adam and Jamie safe was her first priority. She couldn't put them in danger. She had to leave tonight while they were still sleeping, so Adam wouldn't try to stop her or follow her. He was a cop and a soldier, but he couldn't sense or see the dangers like Ari could, which would make him a liability. On the way back to the house, Ari thought about what she was going to do. She would have to put her on her best poker face so that they wouldn't suspect anything was wrong. At dinner, she laughed at their jokes and joined in the conversation, but the whole time her mind was screaming, "I don't want to leave you, but I have to." That night, instead of going to bed, Ari closed the door and quietly packed what she would need in her gray backpack. rolling up the clothes so she could fit more in, and more than just 2 outfits this time. She felt bad having to leave most of what Jamie had gotten her behind, but she had to travel light. She made sure everything was in order before putting on some dark clothes and getting under the covers, then wait until it was time to leave. When the clock said 2 o'clock, she silently got out of bed. Knowing it was cliché, but not really caring, she stuffed some pillows under the covers to give her as much time as she could before they realized she was gone. Quietly, she zipped up her hoodie and then slipped on her backpack, slowly turning the doorknob. She peeked out, making sure that Adam and Jamie were asleep in their rooms. She tried to channel her inner ninja, and noiselessly made her way down the stairs and through the house. Before she left, she snuck into Adam's office to find a pen and some paper so she could leave a goodbye letter. She figured that she owed the Lennoxes that much at least. As she was reaching for a pen, her hand accidentally nudged some papers that were on top of a stack of folders. Normally, she wouldn't have looked twice, but she saw a folder that had the name Ari written on top. With her curiosity piqued, she opened the folder. He had copies of all her school records and all of her medical files since she was found in the canal. He even had the articles that were written about her after her disappearance. Then she saw all the stuff he had found about the suits. She read copies of news articles, official documents, and printouts of emails that his military buddies had sent him about some shady organization infiltrating government agencies. They seemed to have free rein to kidnap people with abilities and do who knows what with them. She read about how they worked under someone with the pseudonym Anaximander. Anaximander? We're never going to say that word right. Anaximander? He was the Greek scientist and philosopher who came up with the cosmological theory of Aperon, or as Ruby called it, Athos. Interesting. But why the heck didn't Adam tell me about any of this? At least give me a little heads up on the people who ruined my life and are chasing me across the country. Jeez. Tamping down her disappointment in Adam, she found a pen and a blank sheet of paper and wrote out her goodbye letter. When she was done, she thought it poetic to leave it and Cass's letter in his Ari folder. She silently snuck her way to the back door and relatched it as quietly as she could, then ran across the dew-covered grass, over to the barn where her bike was. She made sure it was full of gas, then put on her helmet and pushed the bike out onto the dirt road that led to the driveway. Ari had forgotten about how much sound the tires would make on the gravel road, which seemed even more amplified by the night's silence. Maybe if I went into my hyperspeed mode, I'd be going too fast to make much noise? It's either that or try to get it over the fence and push it through the woods. So she tapped into her inner energy that made the world seem to freeze as she sped down the road. And that's when she found out that when she was going super fast, she was also super strong as well. The sensor came up faster than she anticipated, so at the last minute she leaped over the red beam, easily lifting the heavy bike with her like it was nothing. Wow, that's good to know. She sped all the way to the end of the road until she got to the highway. Then she hopped on the motorbike and started it up, looking back over her shoulder towards the old farmhouse. Her heart hurt about leaving Adam and Jamie behind. They had become like a second family to her, but she would do what she needed to protect her family. Pushing off, she started down I-40 towards the nearest bus station. Ari noticed that although she felt a bit drained from tapping into her inner energy, she didn't feel like she was about to pass out like she had before. Maybe I'm getting better at this. As she sat on the bus taking her to Little Rock, Ari thought about how in a couple hours, Adam and Jamie would be reading the letter she had left behind. She had wanted to express how much she appreciated everything they had done for her, She also told them that she'd leave the bike at the bus station parking lot for them if Adam still wanted to sell it like he'd planned. She also told them that they shouldn't try to follow her, for their own safety. Even if Adam did try to follow, she planned that once she got to the Little Rock bus station, she would take a taxi to the train station, where she would continue on to Chicago. The tickets might be expensive, but it was necessary. By now, everyone expected her to use the bus lines, and Adam was probably expecting her to head straight for Toronto, and to not go through Chicago first. Please sleep in this morning, Adam. Ari really did have a growth spurt while she was staying at Paradise Glades. As she waited for the taxi to arrive, she looked around the bus station and noticed that she was now about as tall as, and in some cases taller than, most of the adult women around her. She had to be at least 5'5" by now. Getting a taxi wasn't hard, and in the early hours of the bleak, overcast morning, she was confident that no one would be able to get a good, clear look at her. According to the taxi driver's registration displayed on the dash, his name was Amul Almudi. He barely spoke any English, which was perfect. And with her aviators on, she hoped he wouldn't be able to give a good description of her to anyone who was curious. It was about a 5-minute ride over to the train station, and the fare was only about $8. So far, so good. The train ticket took the rest of the money she had on the prepaid credit card. All she had left was about $50, and that was including the $20 she had gotten from helping Jonas win at pool. She would have to find a way to get more money when she got to Chicago. The train didn't leave until 11:30 at night, so to waste time, she walked around town and wasted time at a Salvation Army a couple blocks away from the station. She found a couple paperback books for $0.25 each, so she took them to a park bench in the lawn in front of the state building and spent the rest of the evening reading. When it was time to board the train, she sat down in her seat, put the earbuds into her ears, and rested her head against the window. She watched the lights of the city disappear behind her. Here I go again, Absalom, into another abyss. And that was the end of chapter 17. 12 minutes. We'll go ahead and stop the video, and we'll probably read another one here. Maybe check on the wee doggies first. Possibly. It's possible. We ought to go check on the puppers. Well, I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace!